The rain hammered the chapel roof like 1,000 tiny accusations, each drop a reminder that nothing in Seattle ever stayed buried for long. Joseph Harlan gripped the edge of the polished oak casket, his knuckles white against the brass handles, staring at the flag-draped box that held what was left of his son. Liam had gone into those woods a boy chasing flames and come out a hero, or so the newspapers said. The fire chief's eulogy droned, painting him with medals of valor for dragging 2 hikers from the inferno before the tree collapsed. Then Alex rose from the front pew, his voice cutting through the murmurs like a blade through fog. Liam wasn't a hero. He was running from me. The chapel fell silent, save for the relentless patter outside, as every eye turned to the man Joseph had loved for 27 years, the man whose hand he still sought in the dark nights of grief. Joseph's heart stuttered, a cold fist closing around it, because in that moment, he knew the eulogy was a lie, and so was everything else. Joseph's breath caught in his throat as Alex's words hung in the air, thick as the Pacific mist that clung to the evergreens outside. The mourners, firefighters in crisp dress blues, neighbors from their queen and neighborhood with casseroles still warm in Tupperware, Liam's old college buddies clutching dog-eared photos, shifted uneasily in their seats. A few gasps rippled through the rows, but no one dared interrupt. Not yet. Joseph's mind reeled, fragments of the past week flashing like lightning over the sound. The call from the sheriff at dawn, the chaplain's folded flag pressed into his arms, the endless loop of news clips showing the blaze that swallowed half of Discovery Park. He'd held it together then, steeling himself for this day, for the ritual of loss in a city that mourned quietly, with black umbrellas and black coffee. Joseph had always been the steady one, the high school history teacher who turned dusty dates into living breaths for kids who didn't care, the husband who mapped their life in Seattle like a well-worn trail. Adopting Liam from a Portland foster system when the boy was 6, watching him grow into a lanky 25-year-old with Alex's sharp green eyes and Joseph's stubborn chin. They'd built a home in that creaky Victorian on Prospect Street, filled with the scent of Alex's morning brews from the corner roastery and the echo of Liam's guitar strums on the back porch. It was a good life, the kind America sold in postcards. 2 dads raising a son amid the tech boom. Ferry rides to Bainbridge for weekend hikes. Pride flags fluttering from every balcony during June. But now, as Alex stood there in his charcoal suit, tie askew like he'd tied it in the dark, Joseph saw the cracks. Alex's face, lined from too many late nights at the firm downtown, twisted with something raw, regret, defiance. The man who'd argued their adoption case pro bono, who'd cheered loudest at Liam's first trail run, now looked like a stranger unraveling at the seams. "Sit down, Alex," Joseph whispered, his voice barely audible over the rain. But his husband, God, was he still his husband? Didn't move. Instead, Alex's gaze locked on Joseph's. Those eyes that had once pulled him across a crowded bar in Capitol Hill now pleading, accusing. "I have to say it," Alex continued, his voice steadying as if he'd rehearsed this in the shower steam that morning. "Liam didn't charge into that fire to save those hikers. He went into those woods to get away. From the fights, from the words I threw at him like grenades. I told him he was breaking us, that his choices were tearing the family apart. And he ran, straight into the blaze that took him." The fire chief, a burly woman named Ramirez with a metal pin to her lapel, half rose from her seat, her mouth opening in protest, but Joseph waved her down with a trembling hand. "Not here. Not in front of the lilies wilting on the altar." The program folded in his pocket with Liam's senior photo smiling up from the cover, hair tousled from a wind-whipped summit, grin wide as the Olympics. Choices. The word landed like a slap. Liam's choices. The boyfriend he'd hidden in their guest room last summer, the rainbow sticker on his truck's bumper that Alex had peeled off one night after too much bourbon. Joseph had seen the signs, the quiet talks over pancakes at the Elliott Bay Diner, where Liam confessed his fears of disappointing them. "Dad," he'd said to Joseph, voice soft as fog, "I just want to be me. Is that okay?" And Joseph had pulled him close, murmuring yes, always yes, because that's what fathers did. What this father did, pieced together from biology and vows and the fierce love that bound them tighter than blood. But Alex had withdrawn, his silences growing like shadows at dusk, his touches turning perfunctory, like checking items off a list. Joseph had chalked it up to work stress, the merger at his law firm dragging him under, but now it crystallized. The late nights weren't just briefs and depositions. They were escapes. The organist faltered on a sour note, the hymn dying midway, and a sob broke from the back. An aunt from Alex's side, her handkerchief pressed to her lips. Joseph stood then, legs unsteady as a newborn fawn's, crossing the aisle in 3 strides to grip Alex's arm. Up close, he smelled of sandalwood soap and rain-damp wool, the same scent that had drawn Joseph in all those years ago. "What the hell are you doing?" Joseph hissed, his face inches from Alex's, the chapel blurring around them. This is his day. Our day to say goodbye. Alex's eyes welled, but he didn't flinch. "It's the truth, Joe. He deserves that much. I drove him out there. Me." His voice cracked on the last word, and for a heartbeat, Joseph saw the man he'd married. The idealist who'd marched in the first pride after Doma fell, who'd whispered promises in the glow of their wedding lanterns on Alki Beach. But that man was gone, eroded by whatever poison had festered unspoken. Reverend Ellis cleared his throat from the pulpit, her stole askew, and gently ushered them toward the side door. Perhaps, a moment outside, the mourners murmured assent, chairs scraping like judgments, as Joseph let Alex lead him into the gray afternoon. The cemetery path was slick with fallen leaves, maples shedding crimson in the wind, and the open grave waited like a wound beside a headstone already etched. Liam Harlan, beloved son, 1999 to 2024. Hero. They stopped under a yew tree, its branches heavy with water, and Joseph rounded on him. "Tell me everything, now. Or so help me, Alex. I'll walk away from this. From you. Right here." Alex leaned against the trunk, rain tracing rivulets down his temples. "It started last fall. Liam told me about Marcus, that barista from the Pike Place shop, the one with the tattoos and the laugh that filled the room. I couldn't handle it, not after everything we'd built. I thought if I pushed hard enough, talked sense into him, he'd see it my way, straighten out, for us." Joseph's stomach twisted, bile rising sharp. "Straighten out? He's our son. Gay or not, he's ours. You think I didn't know?" I saw the light in his eyes when he talked about Marcus, the way he finally breathed easy. "And you shut him down." "I was scared," Alex admitted, voice raw as stripped bark. "Scared of losing him to that world. Scared of what people would say at the firm, in our circle. My parents still whisper about us, Joe. 27 years, and they act like it's a phase. I didn't want that for him. So I fought him, yelled, told him he was throwing his life away on some fling that wouldn't last." He paused, swallowing hard. "He packed a bag that night, said he needed space to think. I didn't stop him. And then the fire." The pieces slotted in brutal and clear. The news had spun it heroic. Liam, off-duty volunteer firefighter, spotting smoke from his campsite, rushing in to pull those strangers free. But Alex's confession painted it different. A desperate flight into the wild. A son's heart shattered by his father's rejection, ending in ash. Joseph's knees buckled, and he sank to the wet grass, the cold seeping through his slacks. "You stood up in there and gutted him all over again, in front of everyone." "I had to," Alex said, dropping beside him, hand hovering but not touching. "The lies were killing me. You're killing me, Joe, with how you look at me now, like I'm the monster." "You are," Joseph whispered, the words tasting like soot. But even as rage boiled, a deeper ache bloomed, the unraveling of their threadbare love, frayed by secrets neither had voiced. They'd met in '98, 2 young professionals in a city awakening to itself. Alex the ambitious litigator, Joseph the dreamer with a notebook full of half-formed stories. Their wedding in 2013 had been a quiet affair on a ferry deck, seals barking approval as they exchanged rings under a harvest moon. Adopting Liam had sealed it, a boy with haunted eyes who'd bloomed under their care, teaching Joseph that family wasn't given. It was chosen, fought for. Now that fight turned inward. "What do we do?" Joseph asked the rain, his voice small. Alex reached for him then, fingers brushing his sleeve, but Joseph pulled away. The ceremony dragged on inside, voices rising in a final hymn. But they stayed out there until dusk bruised the sky purple, two silhouettes against the gathering dark, the hero's grave yawning between them. As the last car pulled away, taillights fading down the hill toward the glittering lights of the city, Joseph finally stood. "Go home, Alex. I'll be there later." He didn't wait for the plea in his husband's eyes, didn't trust his own resolve to hold. Instead, he wandered the paths alone, past markers of strangers, veterans from forgotten wars, mothers gone too soon, until he found a bench overlooking the sound, fairies cutting white wakes in the twilight. There, with the rain easing to a drizzle, Joseph let the sobs come, guttural and unfiltered, his body folding in on itself. Liam's laugh echoed in his mind, that easy rumble over bad horror flicks on rainy Sundays. The way he'd sling an arm around Joseph's shoulders after a tough parent-teacher night. "You're the best dad. You know that?" And Joseph had believed it, believed in the myth they'd crafted, a perfect triad against the world's edges. But myths crumbled, and in their wake came truth, sharp as splintered bone. He pulled out his phone, thumbing through photos. Liam at 10, gap-toothed on his first bike ride along the Burke-Gilman Trail. At 18, diploma in hand, Alex and Joseph beaming on either side. Last month, a selfie from the woods, caption reading "Finding my fire." Joseph's thumb lingered on the delete button for Alex's last text. "I'm sorry, Joe. Come home," before shoving the device away. The city hummed below, a mosaic of lives intersecting in coffee lines and crosswalks, oblivious to the fracture up here on the hill. Seattle had always felt like a refuge, its gray skies mirroring the quiet storms within, but tonight it mocked him, endless rain washing nothing clean. He thought of Marcus, the boyfriend Alex had demonized, last seen at the viewing with red-rimmed eyes and a single rose laid on the casket. Had Liam confided in him? Shared the weight of his father's words? Joseph rose as stars pricked the clouds, resolve hardening like cooling lava. He wouldn't let this bury them all. Not yet. Driving home through the neon-veined streets, past the neon sign of their favorite taqueria flickering out for the night, he rehearsed the confrontation in his head. Not with fists, but words, the kind that rebuilt or raised. The Victorian loomed dark when he pulled up, porch light off like a signal, and inside, Alex waited in the kitchen. A bottle of scotch half empty on the counter, 2 glasses poured. "You're back," Alex said, voice thick, pushing one toward him. "For now," Joseph replied, taking it but not drinking. They stood there, the space between them vast as the chasm Liam had fled into, and in the silence, the first threads of unraveling began to pull loose. The scotch burned going down, a liquid fire that did little to warm the chill settling in Joseph's bones. He set the glass down with a clink that echoed off the exposed brick walls of their kitchen, the one they'd renovated 5 years back with Liam's input, industrial pendants he'd salvaged from a Fremont warehouse sale, hanging over the island where they'd hashed out family crises over takeout pho. Now, the lights cast long shadows, turning Alex's face into a map of regrets, furrows deep as the Duwamish tide flats. "I didn't mean for it to come out like that," Alex started, his lawyer's cadence slipping into apology mode, words measured like evidence. "At the chapel, the chief was up there spinning this tale of valor, and I couldn't stomach it. Not when I knew." Joseph leaned against the counter, arms crossed to hold himself together. "Knew what, exactly? That you bullied our son into running? Or that you lied to me about it for weeks?" The question hung, accusatory, and Alex winced, rubbing his temples as if to erase the memory. "It was more than bullying," Alex confessed, sinking onto a bar stool, the leather creaking under his weight. "After Liam told me about Marcus, I followed him one night, to that dive bar in Belltown, the one with the drag shows on weekends. Saw them kissing outside, hands everywhere, like the world was ending and they didn't care. I waited in the car across the street, engine off, watching until my knuckles ached on the wheel. Then I confronted him the next morning. Told him it was a phase, that he was confusing gratitude for love or some bullshit. He laughed at first. God, Joe, that hurt worse than anything. Then he got quiet. Said he'd always known I didn't get it, that my acceptance of us was conditional. Joseph's throat tightened, visions of Liam's face. Those green eyes flashing hurt, superimposing over the empty stool where he'd perched that morning, stealing bites of Joseph's toast. And me? You didn't think to loop me in? We vowed no secrets, Alex. After the adoption, after the fights with your folks who still send those passive-aggressive Christmas cards. Alex's gaze dropped to the granite, tracing veins like fault lines. I was ashamed. Of him, of myself. Growing up in that suburb outside Tacoma, with a dad who called me that way like it was a disease. I thought I'd beaten it, built this life with you, proved we were just like them. But seeing Liam, it dragged it all back. I snapped. The admission landed heavy, stirring a storm in Joseph's chest. Fury laced with pity, the kind that came from loving someone flawed to the core. He poured another finger of scotch, not for the burn this time, but to steady his hands. So he left, and you let him. Then the fire hits the news and you play along with the hero narrative? Text me from the station. He's gone, Joe, but he saved lives. While I'm pacing the ER waiting room, praying it's a mix-up. Alex nodded, misery etching deeper. I did. Thought it would honor him, give us something to hold on to. The hikers he pulled out, they're alive because of him, even if he wasn't thinking straight. Pun not intended. A ghost of a smile tugged at his lips, bitter, and Joseph almost reached for it, almost bridged the gap with a touch. But the image of Liam alone in those woods, flames roaring like his unspoken screams, held him back. They talked through the night, voices low as the city wound down, fairies' horns moaning distant laments. Alex spilled it all. The passive-aggressive jabs at dinner, the concerned articles left on the coffee table about lifestyle risks, the way he'd changed the locks after one blowout, claiming it was for security. Joseph listened, piecing together the mosaic of their fracture. How Liam's coming out had cracked the facade they'd polished for years. He'd missed the signs himself, buried in lesson plans on the Lewis and Clark expedition. Metaphors for journeys he now saw mirrored in his son's flight. By dawn, the rain had cleared, leaving the world washed clean, puddles mirroring the Space Needle's spire like a promise. Joseph stood at the window, coffee mug warm in his palms, watching joggers claim the sidewalks. We need space, he said finally, turning to Alex, who hadn't slept, dark circles blooming under his eyes. Not like Liam's. Real space. Counseling, maybe. Or, I don't know. Alex rose, closing the distance but stopping short, hands in his pockets. Don't leave me, Joe. Not over this. We can fix it for him. For him, Joseph echoed, the words tasting hollow. He dressed for work that morning. First day back, the principal's email a gentle nudge, and drove to Roosevelt High, the wipers swiping at phantom drops. The hallways buzzed with teenage chaos, lockers slamming like punctuation, and Joseph paused at his door, the poster of the Underground Railroad staring back. Follow the drinking gourd. Liam had drawn that back in sophomore year, his art phase before firefighting claimed him. Class dragged, algebra equations blurring into irrelevance as he fielded condolences. Sorry about your boy, Mr. H. Real American hero. He nodded through them, smile brittle, until third period, when a kid named Theo lingered after the bell. Slight build, dark curls, sketchbook clutched like a shield. Sir, I knew Liam a bit, from the trails. He was kind to everyone. Joseph's chest ached, seeing echoes of his son in the boy's hesitant stance. Thank you, Theo. He was. They talked then, awkwardly at first, Theo admitting he'd run into Liam at a youth center in Capitol Hill, the one with the after-school programs for queer kids. He volunteered sometimes, said his dads were cool but one was working on it. The words stung, validation and indictment twined. Joseph handed Theo a hall pass, but the conversation lingered, a seed planted in the fertile soil of his grief. After school, he detoured to the center, a squat brick building wedged between a vape shop and a faux joint, rainbow mural peeling at the edges. Inside, the air hummed with laughter, teens clustered around a foosball table, and Marcus was there. Tall, inked arms folding flyers, his face lighting when Joseph introduced himself. "Mr. Harlan," Marcus said. Grip firm but gentle. Calluses from steaming lattes rough against Joseph's palm. "Liam talked about you all the time. The storyteller dad." They sat in a corner booth, nursing vending machine sodas, and Marcus unfolded like a fern in sunlight. Liam had been happy, he said finally, after years of hiding. But the fights with Alex had worn him down, whispers turning to shouts. Liam crashing on Marcus's couch more nights than not. "He loved you, though. Said you were his North Star." Joseph absorbed it, the portrait of his son sharpening. Not the flawless hero, but a young man navigating storms with quiet courage. "And you? How are you holding up?" Marcus shrugged, eyes distant. "Day by day. Miss his texts at 2 a.m., dumb memes about bad dates." A pause, then softer. "He wanted us all together. A family, you know?" The word pierced, and Joseph left with Marcus's number. "Call if you need." A lifeline tossed into the churn. Back home, Alex was gone. A note on the fridge. At the office. "Take care." The house echoed empty. Liam's room untouched, guitar leaning in the corner like a sentinel. Joseph sat on the bed, flipping through journals. Entries scrawled in Liam's looping script. "Dad J's stories make sense of the chaos. Pops needs to see I'm not broken." Tears came again, hot and unbidden, soaking the pages. When Alex returned at midnight, tie discarded in the hall, Joseph met him in the living room, journals spread like evidence. "Read them," he said, voice steady. "Then tell me if you still think his love was a phase." Alex did, pale under the lamp's glow, and when he finished, he reached for Joseph, not for forgiveness, but for anchor. They made love that night, tentative and tear-streaked, bodies remembering what words had forgotten. But in the afterglow, as Alex's breaths evened into sleep, Joseph stared at the ceiling cracks, wondering if touch could mend what trust had shattered. Days blurred into a rhythm of avoidance. Joseph at school, grading papers under fluorescent hum. Alex in courtrooms, winning cases that felt Pyrrhic. They ate dinners in silence, the TV droning Mariners highlights, Liam's empty chair a ghost at the table. Then came the memorial hike, organized by the fire department, a trek through the recovered park trails, plaques to be unveiled at the overlook. Joseph invited Marcus, a quiet addition to the group, and as they climbed, boots crunching pine needles, stories flowed. Liam's pranks at station barbecues, his knack for defusing tensions with a joke. At the summit, wind whipping off the water, Ramirez pinned a badge to Joseph's lapel. "For your boy," and he choked up, the metal cold against his heart. Alex hung back, face ashen, but when the group dispersed, he pulled Joseph aside. "I quit the firm. Too many ghosts there. Thinking of going pro bono like old times. For kids like him." Joseph searched his eyes, seeing flickers of the man who'd once dreamed aloud of justice for the marginalized. "It's a start," he said, and meant it. That night, over beers on the porch, they talked futures. Not fixes, but possibilities. Marcus texted, "Great day." Liam would have loved it. And in the quiet, Joseph felt the first stir of healing, fragile as new growth after fire. But peace was fleeting. A week later, a letter arrived certified, from Liam's estate lawyer. Inside, a will. Everything to Joseph, with a note scrawled in haste. "Dad J, keep telling stories. Don't let Pops win. Love, L." Alex read it over his shoulder, crumpling the paper. "He thought I'd destroy you too?" "He thought you needed saving," Joseph corrected, and the truth settled between them, heavy as the rain returning. The letter burned a hole in Joseph's pocket all morning, its edges fraying against his thigh as he navigated the school's crowded halls. Teenagers surged past, backpacks thumping like heartbeats, oblivious to the weight he carried. The final missive from a son who'd planned for endings too soon. By lunch, he was in the staff room, microwaved burrito untouched, staring at the note's looping script until the words blurred. Theo appeared then, the curly-haired artist from his class, sliding into the opposite chair with a tray of mystery meatloaf. "You okay, Mr. H? Look like you saw a ghost." Joseph managed a half-smile, folding the paper away. "Something like that." They talked comics, Theo's latest Batman sketch, brooding under Gotham's gargoyles, and for a moment, the world lightened, Liam's humor echoing in the boy's quick wit. "You remind me of someone," Joseph said, packing his bag. "Keep drawing. It's how we make sense of the dark." Outside, the autumn chill nipped, leaves skittering across the quad like fleeing thoughts. He drove to the waterfront, parking near the Olympic Sculpture Park, where rusted steel arcs twisted against the gray bay. Marcus was waiting by the Packard Eagle, coffee cups steaming in paper holders. "Figured you could use company," he said, handing one over. Black, 2 sugars, just how Liam had taught him Joseph liked it. They walked the paths, sculptures looming like silent witnesses, and Joseph let the letter's contents spill. Marcus listened, nodding at the overlook where gulls wheeled over whitecaps. "Sounds like Liam, always protecting you, even from beyond." "He was the protector," Joseph murmured, wind tugging at his scarf. "Not me." They sat on a bench then, the sound's rhythm a counterpoint to Marcus's steady voice, sharing stories. Liam's terrible karaoke at open mics, his habit of leaving wildflowers on doorsteps after breakups. Laughter came, tentative, bubbling up like air from depths, and Joseph felt seen. Not as the grieving dad, but as a man, flesh and fault. Back home, Alex was in the study, boxes half-packed, old case files, a life in cardboard. "Decluttering," he explained, but his eyes were red-rimmed. "Found this." He held out a photo. The 3 of them at Discovery Park last summer, arms linked, smiles wide against the sunset. Liam in the middle, bridging them. Joseph took it, thumb tracing the frame. "We were happy. We can be again." Alex stepped closer, hand on Joseph's waist, but the touch sparked memory more than heat. Liam's absence, a chasm neither could cross alone. They ordered pizza, ate on the couch to a documentary on wildfires, flames flickering on screen like accusations. Halfway through, Alex paused it. "I saw a therapist today. Solo session. She says I need to unpack the shame. Mine, not his." "Good," Joseph said, surprised by the sincerity. "I might join. For me." The next days brought routine's fragile armor. School assemblies honoring Liam, where Joseph spoke of courage not as capes but quiet choices. Coffee runs with Marcus, evolving from condolences to easy banter, shared playlists of indie folk that Liam would have mocked. One evening, as rain lashed the windows, Marcus invited him to a poetry slam at the youth center, Liam's favorite spot. The room pulsed with energy, mics hot under stage lights, voices raw as open veins. A girl recited on lost loves, her words slicing Joseph's defenses, and when Marcus took the stage, poem in hand, "To the boy who burned bright, teaching us ashes make soil," tears tracked Joseph's cheeks unchecked. Afterward, in the alley behind, steam rising from grates, Marcus leaned in. "He'd want you happy, not just surviving." Their lips met then, soft and searching, a question more than claim. Joseph pulled back, heart hammering. "I can't. Not yet." But the spark lingered, a warmth against the night's bite. Alex noticed the shift that weekend, over brunch at a Capitol Hill cafe, avocado toast going cold. "You're glowing. Different." His tone held no accusation, just curiosity laced with fear. "It's nothing," Joseph lied, then corrected. "Marcus, we're friends. Grieving together." Alex's fork stilled. "Be careful, Joe. Don't let pity turn to something else." The warning stung, old patterns rearing. "Pity? Like you pitted your ideals away." The table tensed, patrons glancing over, and Joseph stood, chair scraping. "I'm going for a walk." He wandered the steep streets, past murals of queer icons, Sylvia Rivera gazing fierce, and ended at California Anderson Park, benches slick with mist. There, under a pavilion strung with lights, he journaled for the first time since Liam. What does healing look like when half your heart's in the ground? The answer came in fragments, forgiveness perhaps, but not at the cost of self. That night, confrontation brewed. Alex waited in the living room, scotch in hand. I didn't mean it like that. I'm scared, Joe, of losing you to this ghost of him. He's not a ghost, Joseph snapped, pacing the rug. He's the best of us. And if you can't see that, maybe I need to find who can. The words hung, a gauntlet thrown, and Alex rose, face crumpling. Don't do this. 27 years. Exactly. Joseph softened, sitting beside him. That's why it hurts so much. But we can't paper over it. Therapy together, or we end this cleanly. They agreed to sessions, a counselor named Rivera, Iris, mid-40s with a no-nonsense bob and eyes that saw through facades. First meeting in her Lake Union office, view of houseboats bobbing serene. Start with truths, she said, notepad blank. Alex went first. I rejected Liam because I rejected myself, and it killed him. Joseph followed. I let you. By not seeing sooner. The admissions flowed, raw and relieving like lancing a wound. Sessions became anchors twice weekly, weaving through carpools and deadlines. But tension simmered. At a school fundraiser, Joseph caught Alex staring daggers at Marcus across the gym, who was there as a donor, sleeves rolled to show his ink. Later, in the car, he's using you to get close to Liam's memory. Stop, Joseph warned, gripping the wheel. Jealousy's ugly on you. Home erupted. Accusations flying. Alex calling Marcus a rebound. Joseph hurling back Alex's hypocrisy. A vase shattered, water pooling like tears, and in the quiet aftermath, Alex whispered, I love you too much to watch you slip away. Joseph knelt, shards in hand. Then fight for us, not against shadows. Reconciliation came haltingly. A weekend getaway to the San Juans, ferry to Orcas Island, cabin by the shore. They hiked Moran State Park, leaves turning gold, and talked till voices hoarsed. Dreams deferred, resentments aired. One night, by the fire pit, stars thick overhead, Alex said, I accept it now. Him. All of it. Joseph believed him. Their bodies entwining under blankets, rediscovering rhythms lost to grief. Hope flickered, fragile but real. Then crisis. A call from the fire investigator. New evidence. Liam's campsite logs. Texts timestamped. Not a hero run, the voice crackled. He set a small signal fire standard for volunteers. Wind shifted, turned deadly. He died trying to contain his own mistake. The revelation gutted them. Alex collapsed on the kitchen floor, sobs racking. My fault. Pushed him out there alone. Joseph held him, whispering no's, but doubt crept. Was the hero myth their creation, propping up denial? He drove to the center that afternoon, finding Marcus midshift. Truths keep shifting, he confessed over counter coffee. Marcus squeezed his hand. Then chased the real ones, not the stories. That night, with Alex asleep, Joseph packed a bag, not leaving space within walls. He took the guest room, Liam's old space, and in the dawn light, penned a letter of his own. We heal by breaking open. Let's try. But as weeks turned, the rift widened. Alex dove into work, pro bono cases piling. Joseph into stories, a memoir on loss taking shape. Marcus became confidant, their walks laced with what-ifs. One evening, under the market's arches, hands brushed, and this time, Joseph didn't pull away. The kiss deepened, rain sweet, awakening hungers long dormant. Guilt followed, sharp as betrayal. He confessed to Iris, I'm falling, outside. She nodded. Grief reshapes us. Question is, who do you become? Home? Alex sensed it. The cologne faint on Joseph's collar, the hesitation in hugs. It's him, isn't it? Quiet, no rage. Joseph nodded, tears spilling. I love you, but I need more than echoes. Alex's face fractured. Go then. Find your fire. Divorce papers came swift, amicable in ink, brutal in soul. Joseph moved to a studio in Fremont, trolls and trolleys his new neighbors. Marcus filled the space, tentative dates at hole-in-the-wall Tacarius, nights tangled in sheets that smelled of hope. Yet Liam's shadow lingered, a high-tide mark. At the 6-month mark, Joseph visited the grave alone, snow dusting the stone. I miss you, kid, but I'm learning to live loud, like you. Wind whispered back, and for the first time, peace settled, soft as snowfall. Winter clamped down on Seattle like a vice, the kind of cold that seeped through coats and into marrow, turning the sound to steel under overcast skies. Joseph's studio apartment in Fremont hummed with the low buzz of the neighborhood, tattoo parlors spilling ink-scented air. The hum of the Google barge docked nearby like a futuristic sentinel. Boxes still unpacked lined the walls, Liam's guitar propped in the corner, a talisman against the emptiness. He woke to frost on the window panes, breath fogging as he traced patterns, memories manifesting in swirls. Marcus had become a constant, his presence a balm, not filling the void, but illuminating its edges. Mornings started with texts. Coffee run? Evenings ended with shared silences on the fire escape, city lights winking like conspirators. Their first real date had been impulsive, a storm-forced cancellation of Joseph's writing workshop, leading to dim sum in the ID steam rising from bamboo baskets like unspoken desires. Marcus's laugh cut through the clatter, easy and unforced, and when their knees touched under the table, Joseph didn't flinch. Your trouble, he'd said later, walking Marcus to his bus stop, rain beating on their hoods. The good kind, Marcus replied, pulling him into a doorway, lips brushing cold noses before warming to intent. It escalated slow, respectful of scars. Hands exploring over clothes during movie nights, whispers of boundaries in the dark. But desire built, inevitable as tide, and one February night, after a poetry reading where Joseph shared a piece on embers of the heart, they tumbled into the studio, coats shedding like skins. Marcus's body was a landscape of stories, tattoos narrating lost siblings, faded burns from kitchen mishaps, and Joseph mapped it with reverence, fingers tracing lines as if committing verse to memory. Tell me if it's too much, Marcus murmured, breath hitching. But Joseph silenced him with a kiss, deep and anchoring. They moved together, tentative then fervent, the room filling with gasps and the creak of the futon, climax crashing like waves on the jetty. After, tangled in sheets that smelled of salt and sweat, Marcus propped on an elbow. That was. Yeah, Joseph agreed, tracing a constellation on Marcus's shoulder. Guilt flickered, Alex's face in the half-light, but he pushed it down, choosing this moment's truth. Life layered on, Joseph's memoir gained traction. A local press sniffing interest after a stranger review called it a elegy for modern fatherhood, queer and unyielding. Readings at Elliott Bay Book Company drew crowds, faces familiar from the center, and afterward, Marcus waited with proud grins and post-event burgers at Red Mill. Alex appeared at one, spectral in the back row, clapping polite when Joseph signed his copy. To my partner in rebuilding. They spoke after, awkward in the drizzle. Proud of you, Alex said, hands in pockets. Heard you're seeing someone. Joseph nodded, chin lifting. Marcus, it's good. Alex's smile didn't reach his eyes. Deserve that. We both do. He handed over an envelope, final papers signed. Clean slate. The weight lifted, and Joseph hugged him, brief but genuine. Take care, Alex. Really. Spring unfurled tentative, cherry blossoms dusting Capitol Hill like confetti, and Joseph proposed to Marcus during a hike in Discovery. Reborn trails winding past the plaque, in memory of Liam Harlan, guardian of the green. On one knee amid ferns, ring simple silver, he said, you're my next chapter. If you'll have me. Marcus's yes came teary, fierce, sealed with a kiss that tasted of earth and promise. They told friends at a backyard barbecue, Joseph's studio balcony strung with lights, laughter mingling with grill smoke. Theo was there, sketches in tow, toasting with root beer, to heroes old and new. But joy's underbelly stirred. Iris, in session, probed, "Ready for this?" With the grief still fresh, Joseph thought of Liam's journals, now shelved beside his own drafts. Grief doesn't end. It evolves, like love, yet shadows lengthened. A news piece on the fire, anniversary special, dug up old wounds, interviewing hikers Liam saved, their gratitude a knife twist. "He came out of nowhere," one said, voice pixelated. "Like an angel." Joseph watched alone, Marcus at a shift, and the what-ifs roared. If Alex hadn't pushed, if Joseph had intervened sooner. He called Alex at 2 a.m., voice cracking. "It's my fault too." "No," Alex soothed, awake instantly. "We all stumbled. But you're standing now." The call bridged them to friendship, tentative coffees at Zeitgeist, dissecting the past without blame. Alex shared his own dating woes, a string of apps yielding coffee ghosts, and Joseph laughed, genuine, the sound foreign but welcome. Summer swelled, heat waves unusual for the coast, and wedding plans bloomed. Small ceremony at the center, vows under the mural. Invites went out, Theo as best man, Ramirez officiating, Alex in the front row. But crisis brewed subtle. Marcus's ex, a drifter named Riley, surfaced via texts, cryptic pleas for money, dredging Marcus's old insecurities. "He won't stop," Marcus confessed one night, phone smashed on the counter. "Says he knows about Liam, that I'm just rebounding." Joseph pulled him close, heart aching at the vulnerability. "You're not. You're home." They talked it through, blocking numbers, leaning on Iris for tools, boundaries as bricks in a wall. The bachelor party was low-key, Theo's idea. A kayak trip on Lake Union, paddles slicing water under dragonfly hum. Drunk on IPAs later at a brewpub, Joseph toasted, "To Liam, who taught us to paddle through storms." Eyes misted, but cheers rose, bonds tightening. Wedding day dawned clear, rare sun gilding the bay, and Joseph stood in a linen suit, nerves electric. Marcus entered to acoustic guitar. A cover of Ho Hey, Liam's favorite, and vows exchanged flowed true. "I choose you," in ashes and blooms. Rings slid on, kisses sealed, and as they danced to a playlist of queer anthems, Alex approached, glass raised. "To new beginnings." "He would have loved this." Joseph clasped his shoulder. "He does." Honeymoon was a road trip south. Oregon coast, redwoods whispering secrets, where they scattered some of Liam's ashes, per his will, into the surf at Cannon Beach. Waves claimed them gentle, and Joseph felt release, a knot loosening. Back in Seattle, life settled into groove. Joseph's book launch at a packed Hugo house. Marcus promoted to manager. Their futon upgraded to a bed framing views of the troll. But autumn brought reckoning. A letter from the hikers, gratitude enclosed with a donation for the center. Inside, a photo Liam mid-rescue, soot-streaked but determined. Joseph framed it, hung by the door. Our guardian. Yet, in quiet hours, doubt whispered. Was this happiness borrowed, built on graves? Marcus sensed it one crisp morning over oatmeal. Talk to me. I'm scared, Joseph admitted, spoon stirring circles. That I'll wake and it's all smoke. Marcus cupped his face. Then we'll rebuild. Every time. Therapy evolved to couples, Iris beaming at their progress. Alex found steady ground too. A partner named Dane, a mediator with kind eyes, met at a conference. Double dates followed, tentative at first, then laughing over wine at a Wallingford bistro. One night, 4 of them at Joseph's for game night, Monopoly boards and bad puns. Alex pulled him aside. You did it, Joe. Gave him the family he deserved. We all did, Joseph replied, glancing at Marcus and Dane, the room alive with connection. As snow dusted again, Joseph finished the memoir, epilogue, a letter to Liam. You didn't die a hero, you lived one. And in your light we burn on. The launch party for Joseph's memoir pulsed with Seattle's eclectic heartbeat. Indie press reps in flannel mingling with lit profs from UW. The air thick with bergamot candles and the faint hop of local brews. Hugo House's main hall glowed under Edison bulbs, books stacked like altars on every surface, and Joseph stood at the podium, throat dry despite the water glass sweating in his grip. Below, faces blurred into a sea of expectation. Marcus in the front row, grin wide as the pages he'd proofed. Alex and Dane to the side, hands linked casual. Theo hovering by the snacks, sketchpad doodling caricatures. He cleared his throat, mic feedback whining brief. This book isn't an elegy, it's a map. Through loss, yes, but toward light. Words flowed then. Excerpt from the fire chapter. Voice cracking on Liam's name but steadying. The room leaning in. Applause thundered after, warm as hearth. And the signing lines snaked long. Strangers pressing hands with condolences turned to connections. Your words got me through my own coming out. Marcus found him later, slipping through the crowd with 2 IPAs. Killed it, storyteller. Their kiss was quick, public but proud, eliciting whoops from Theo's corner. Alex approached next, book tucked under arm. Autograph? For old times. Joseph scrawled, to the man who taught me grace in goodbye. How's Dane? Solid, Alex said, eyes soft. Like you said, new chapters. The night wound down to after-party at a dive in Pioneer Square. Jazz trio crooning low, and Joseph felt buoyant, grief's weight lighter in the collective lift. But as glasses clinked, a woman approached. Mid-30s, sharp bob, press badge dangling. Elena from The Stranger. Loved the read. Mind if I ask about the husband angle? The betrayal at the funeral? Did that really happen? Joseph's smile faltered. The hook of his life laid bare. Every word. But it's not betrayal's end. It's the beginning of truth. She nodded, jotting. Raw stuff. Thanks. Home late. Buzz fading to ache. Marcus drew a bath. Salts fizzing like stars. Proud? He asked, soaping Joseph's back. Overwhelmed, Joseph admitted, head lolling. Like I'm selling our pain. You're sharing strength. Marcus's hands wandered, turning relaxation to intimacy. Water sloshing as they moved, sighs echoing off tiles. Release came shared, bodies sinking like tides. And in the afterdrift, Joseph whispered, Love you. Forever, Marcus echoed, sealing it. Success snowballed. Radio spots on KUOW, a podcast invite from Out Loud, where Joseph spoke on queer parenting's jagged edges. Royalties trickled, enough for a down payment on a craftsman in Wallingford. Cozy, with a yard for future dreams, bay windows framing the Olympics. Moving day was chaos joy. Theo hauling boxes with ironic grunts, Alex surprising with pizza and a toolkit, Dane charming the crew with dad jokes. Family expansion, Alex quipped, toasting with sodas on the porch as dusk fell. Joseph clinked, warmth spreading. But expansion bred vulnerability. Marcus's promotion meant longer shifts, leaving Joseph to evenings alone, the house echoing with what-ifs. One such night, scrolling Liam's old socials, frozen in time, posts of sunsets and slogans, he stumbled on a thread. Comments from Riley, venomous barbs about fake families. Unease gnawed, and when Marcus came home, Joseph showed him. Blocked him months ago, Marcus said, but tension lingered, sleep fractured. Crisis crested midfall. Riley appeared at the center, disheveled, demanding Marcus. Security escorted him out, but not before shouts. You're replacing me with a dead kid's daddy. Drawing stares. Marcus broke down after, in Joseph's arms on the kitchen floor. He'll never let go. Drags me back. We face him, Joseph said, resolve stealing. They filed a restraining order, court date looming like stormfront. Alex offered pro bono help, Dane mediating prep sessions over coffee. Strength in numbers, he said. Hearing day in downtown courthouse, fluorescent harsh. Riley slouched opposite, eyes wild. Testimony flowed. Marcus's calm recount, Joseph's supporting affidavit. Judge granted it 3 years and outside rain sheeting Marcus sagged against Joseph. Over. For now. They celebrated small, hot cocoa at a cafe, marshmallows melting sweet. Winter holidays approached. First without Liam, a milestone mined with grief. They hosted Theo, Alex and Dane, Ramirez with her wife, a table groaning under turkey and tamales. Toast circled, to those who shaped us, and stories spun, Liam's pranks resurrecting in laughter. After clean up with Marcus, suds flying, Joseph felt anchored, the house a vessel holding them steady. But undercurrents pulled. Joseph's book tour, Portland, San Francisco, meant weeks apart, calls laced with missing. In SF, at a Castro reading, a fan flirted bold, "You're hotter than your prose." And Joseph rebuffed gentle, but the temptation whispered, "Am I enough?" Homecoming was fervent. Airport reunion kiss deepening in the car, hands roaming till home. "Missed this?" Marcus growled, pinning him to the door. "Me too." Lovemaking was reclaiming, urgent and tender, reaffirming bonds. Spring brought renewal. Garden plots seeded with herbs, Liam's favorite basil thriving. Joseph started a workshop at the center, writing for queer youth, Theo assisting, voices young and fierce filling the room. One kid, a trans boy named Kai, shared a piece on family fractures, and Joseph teared up, seeing Liam's echo. "You're changing lives," Marcus said that night, dinner steaming on the stove. "We're," the pronoun inclusive, a vow renewed. Yet Summerstorm, Alex called voice tight. Dane left, said, "I'm still stuck. On you, on Liam." Joseph drove over, finding him on the old porch, bourbon bottle companion. "Talk," Alex poured. He saw it, the way I light up around you. Not love, but unfinished business. Joseph listened, hand on knee. "You're worthy alone. Go find it." They hugged long, brothers now, and Joseph left with hope for him. Personal tempest followed. Joseph's doc checkup. Routine turning to biopsy scare. Shadow on lung. Precaution. Waiting rooms, blurred days, Marcus vigilant, holding hands through scans. Benign. Relief crashed, but it sharpened edges. "Life's short," Joseph said post-clear. "Let's travel." Road trip east, Glacier National Park, Montana's big skies a bomb. Tents pitched by going to the Sun Road, stars blanketing. They made love under aurora hints, bodies earthbound and ethereal. "This is us," Marcus murmured, fingers laced. Back, fall leaves blazed, and Joseph's second book brewed. Fiction this time, queer romance threaded with loss. Agent buzzed, bestseller potential. But quiet crisis. Anniversary of the fire neared, media circling for, "Where are they now?" Joseph declined, but a tabloid snippet leaked. Twisted truths on the cursed family. Hate mail trickled. Slurs and envelopes, echoing old wounds. Marcus shielded, but Joseph confronted. "We don't hide." Public statement followed, op-ed in the PI. "Heroes aren't myths. They're men who loved fiercely, flaws and all." Response flooded positive. Solidarity from communities. And in the wash, Joseph felt seen, scars honored. As Snow hinted, they adopted a dog. Mutt named Ember, tail wagging chaos. Holidays warmed fuller. Alex dating anew, Dane forgiven in time. New Year's Eve, balcony fireworks bursting. Joseph pulled Marcus close. "To us, unbroken. Kisses under sparks, future bright as the blaze they'd survived." The op-ed's ripple spread farther than Joseph anticipated. Inbox flooding with messages that ranged from heartfelt to harrowing. Queer elders sharing survival tales. Parents confessing their own buried shames. One stood out. From Kai, the trans writer from his workshop. A single line. "Your words gave me mine. Thank you, dad figure." Joseph's reply was swift, inviting him to dinner, the start of mentorships that wove deeper into his days. Ember's paws clicked constant now, the mud a furry whirlwind herding them through routines. Dawn walks along the locks, salmon leaping silver in the spillway. Marcus tossing sticks with boyish glee. Joseph's writing desk overlooked it all, second manuscript swelling. Title Embers Unquenched. A love story of two widowers finding spark in Seattle's rain. Beta readers raved. Marcus first. Hits like Liam's laugh warm true. Alex's life steadied too. his pro bono firm launching a queer youth legal aid, cases stacking like cordwood. Double dates became tradition, rotating dinners. Dane back, contrite, his mediator calm a steadying force. One night at their Queen and Victorian, Alex keeping it, ghosts gentled. Over paella and Pinot, Dane raised a glass. To chosen families, the ones that stick. Laughter followed, easy, and Joseph caught Alex's eye across the table. A nod passing. We made it. But midwinter brought fractures echo. Riley violated the order. Spotted near the center, lurking shadows. Police hauled him, charges pending. But the scare unearthed Marcus's fractures. Nightmares of abandonment, mornings curled fetal. What if he comes for you? He'd whisper, Joseph's arms insufficient armor. They leaned into therapy, Iris facilitating joint sessions now, unpacking Riley's web. Abuse masked as love, Marcus's guilt a chain. You're free, she affirmed. Homework in vulnerability logs. Joseph wrote first. Scared of losing you to ghosts, like I lost Liam. Marcus's turn. Afraid I'm not enough. Inked barista to your author hero. The exchange cracked them open. Tears salting pillow talks. Rebuilding trust brick by honest brick. Date night followed. Improv class in Fremont. Laughter therapy as they flailed through scenes. Marcus's ad-libs landing Joseph's chuckles deep. See? He panted post-class, breathless on the sidewalk. We're ridiculous together. Perfect. Spring's thaw mirrored thaw within. Joseph's book deal finalized. Advance buying plane tickets to New York for launch. Marcus cleared shifts, tagging along city whirlwind of subways and skyscrapers. Readings at Housing Works to packed rooms. After parties in Brooklyn lofts. One night, Empire State glow. Marcus proposed redux. Marry me official? Rings were sweet, but legals forever. Joseph's yes echoed off concrete. Sealed in a cab ride home. Hands impatient under pleats. Wedding redo plans small. Courthouse then party at the park. Liam's overlook. Invites minimal, intimate. Theo officiant now, 21 and beaming. Ramirez DJing with a playlist of fire anthems twisted tender. Vows renewed under evergreens. In storms and stills, I choose you. Honeymoon east again. Yellowstone this time. Geysers erupting like joy. Hikes through geothermal wonders. Steam veiling kisses. And one evening by Old Faithful, Joseph scattered more ashes. Rest easy, kid. We're good. Back. Summer sizzled record heat. AC units humming lullabies. Joseph's tour wrapped triumphant. Bestseller lists teasing. But fame's flip. Paparazzi snaps at the locks. Headlines twisting. Tragic dad's steamy rebound. Hate spiked. Online trolls dredging funeral clip. Alex's stand looped as scandal. Joseph fired back. Podcast raw. Grief isn't photogenic. Love is messy. Deal. Support surged, but toll mounted. Sleep evading. Ember sensing unrest with whiny vigils. Marcus pulled him to the center one dawn. Empty hall echoing steps. Write it out, he said, handing a marker. Walls became canvas. Quotes from the book. Liam's lyrics scrawled large. Catharsis flowed. Chalk dust on fingers. And Joseph emerged lighter. Walls a testament. Fall harvest. Alex's firm milestone gala. Joseph keynoting on Justice's personal cost. Standing ovation thundered. Alex's pride palpable. And after, Dane joked, You're stealing my thunder, Harlan. Sharing, Joseph grinned. Personal harvest too. Pregnancy talks surfaced. Surrogacy whispers with a cousin of Marcus's. Hopeful but hazy. Kids. Marcus asked one harvest moonwalk. Leaves crunching. Like Liam? Someday, Joseph said, hand on belly dream. Ours. Winter's grip loosened to holidays bright. Ember in a bough, tree strung with firefighter ornaments. Alex's new tradition. Volunteer shift at a shelter, then feast. Laughter laced with memory. Toasts to absent lights. Crisis crested subtle. Joseph's checkup again. Shadow returned, scar tissue. Benign but biopsied. Waiting nod. Marcus pacing clinics. Alex texting mantras. Clear, always clear, but lesson etched. Fragility's gift, presence sharpened. Spring bloomed defiant, garden rioting color, basil to pesto, tomatoes sun-kissed. Workshop grew, Kai publishing first chapbook, dedicating to the dad who listened. Joseph's third book brewed, memoir sequel, on love's rebuild. Summer solstice party. Bonfire in the yard, neighbors circling flames, stories swapping like embers. Theo toasted, voice steady. To Liam, the spark that lit us all. As stars wheeled, Joseph danced with Marcus, slow under string lights. Happy, blissfully, Marcus murmured, dip and sway. Yet, autumn winds carried warning. Riley's trial loomed, public now with Joseph's name attached. Author's fiancé's stalker. Testimony prep with Alex, nerves jangling. But Marcus held firm. Truth wins. Courtroom stark, Riley's glare venom. But words landed true. Abuse catalogued, order upheld, prison time appended. Outside, press swarmed. But Joseph shielded Marcus. Statement crisp. Justice isn't revenge. It's freedom. Relief partied private. Rooftop bar, city sprawling, shots of tequila burning bright. To us, Marcus cheered, clinking. Winter wrapped gentle. New year dawning with resolutions whispered. Travel more, write bolder, love deeper. Joseph's epiphany came snowbound. Manuscript done. Healing isn't linear. It's a fire trail, scarred but sacred. In the quiet, with Marcus's head on his chest, ember snoring, he knew they'd forged gold from ash. The new year unfurled like a flag in fresh wind. Seattle's winter shedding to tentative greens along the waterfront. Joggers reclaiming paths with purposeful strides. Joseph's third book, Trails of Ember, hit shelves to acclaim. A bridge from memoir to fiction that critics hailed as a queer odyssey of the heart, as rugged as the Cascades. Launch at Seattle Central Library drew a throng, atrium echoing with applause, Marcus beaming from the wings, a bouquet of wildflowers, Seattle lupin and fireweed, thrust into Joseph's hands post-reading. Symbol of regrowth, Marcus explained later. Over victory ramen in the U District, broth steaming stories between slurps. Alex and Dane crashed the afterglow. Quartet toasting at a karaoke den, butchering total eclipse of the heart with off-key gusto. Laughter peeled away years, and as confetti rained from bad renditions, Joseph caught Alex's I mid-chorus. Gratitude unspoken, a nod sealing their evolution from lovers to lifelines. Life's mosaic sharpened. Surrogacy talks solidified, their cousin Lena greenlighting. Early ultrasounds a secret shared in whispers. A little Harlan barista, Marcus joked. Hand on Joseph's knee during waits. Nerves electric as first dates. Ember grew into her role, yard sentinel, chasing squirrels with terrier zeal. Her barks punctuating writing sprints. Joseph's desk now a nook in the craftsman's study. Views of tulip magnolias framing prose. Workshop at the center thrived. Alumni like Kai mentoring new voices. A cycle of spark. Spring's riot coaxed a baby moon. Portland trail runs. Then cabin in the Hood Canal. Kayaks slicing fjord-like waters. Seals eyeing curious. Evenings by the dock. Stars pricking velvet. They dreamed names. Riley for Marcus's lost brother, or Sage, evoking Liam's woods lore. Crisis whispered soft. Lena's first scan showed twins. Double joy, double fear. We got this, Marcus affirmed. Ultrasound wands wand-waving miracles. Summer swelled bountiful, garden yielding feasts. Picnics in Green Lake, Theo joining with his portfolio, art school acceptances glowing. Alex's firm expanded. A satellite in Portland, Dane relocating for it. Their wedding a garden affair Joseph officiated. Vows or trails, winding, but worth the trek. Fall's palette turned, leaves carpeting paths, and the nursery took shape. Cribs side by side, walls muraled by Theo. Forests alive with hidden animals. Liam's guitar etched subtle in bark. Trials echo faded. Riley incarcerated. But therapy lingered. Iris retiring soon. Her farewell session a circle. You've built a constellation. Shine on. Winter's hush cradled the birth. December storm raging, then calm, twins arriving at Swedish. First a girl, cries fierce. Boy following, quieter, eyes green like Liam's. Names, Eloan and Theo. Theo blushing at the honor. Eloan for Cornish roots. Elm tree, steadfast. Hospital room bloomed visitors. Marcus's ink a temporary tattoo on tiny feet. Alex cooing Uncle Soft. Dane snapping Polaroids. Joseph held them. Tears salting downy heads. Liam's presence palpable in the weight. Homecoming was symphony. Ember sniffing tentative, then protective. Nights of feeds and folds, Marcus and Joseph trading shifts. Exhaustion laced with ecstasy. First walk. Bundled babes and carriers. Fremont Bridge arching triumphant. Neighbors cooing, life affirming. Joseph's book tour paused for paternity, but virtual reads sustained. Fans sending onesies scribbled with quotes. Writing resumed fragmented. Notes on the nightstand. A new tale brewing. Family as wildfire, consuming then renewing. Anniversaries layered. Fifth with Marcus. Oyster dinner at Elliot's. Sound glittering. Still yes? He asked, ring glinting. Always, Joseph vowed, dessert fork twining. Liam's 10th would-be birthday. Hike to the overlook. Kids in packs. Plaque read aloud. Brother? Eloan babbled, pointing flames imagined. And Joseph wept quiet, Marcus's arm anchor. Years blurred montage. Twins toddling chaos. Theo's gallery show. Murals of their story. Alex adopting a teen. Dane's steady hand. Joseph's canon grew. TED Talk on grief as cartography viral, invitations global. Crisis revisited gentle. Eloan's fever spiking. Our dash hearts hammering. But antibiotics quelled. Lesson in letting go. They're tough, Marcus said, rocking Theo boy to sleep. Midlife beckoned, Joseph 60. Salt hair full. Lines laughter etched. Retirement whispers, but pen persistent. A legacy school for queer writers seating. One eve, porch swing creaking. Grandkids. Theo's first. Alex's 2. Chasing fireflies. Joseph to Marcus. We did it. From funeral ash to this. Marcus's kiss sage soft. Heroes work. Yours, ours. As stars kindled. Family orbiting. Joseph knew. No end to healing. Only horizons. Love, the ultimate trail, endless, etched in light. In the hush, with laughter lilting, he felt Liam smile.